Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sabbath. I just want to praise God for the opportunity to come and speak with you this morning through the kind invitation of Sister Grace. And I just pray that this time together will be a real blessing for all of us. So I've entitled my presentation this morning, God's Plan to Finish His Work. And before we get into it, I'd just like to say another prayer, if that's okay. Dear Father, I just ask for your Spirit, please, to dwell in me, to fill me, and for your words. In Jesus' name, amen. So, God's plan to finish his work. We read in John 4:34, Jesus said to them, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work." So we're probably all familiar with this chapter of John. It's the woman at the well. And so Jesus has just had his exchange talking with the woman at the well. And he's just sitting there and his disciples come back from getting some food. And they're urging him to eat. He must be hungry. He hasn't eaten all morning. Master, eat. And he says something really interesting. He says, "I have food that you don't know about." And they're thinking, has someone brought him something to eat? But then he says this, he says, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work." And I thought that's a really interesting phrase, to finish his work. So let's have a look at what that means. The work of Jesus. So in Matthew we read, "And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all kinds of sickness and all kinds of disease among the people." So we see there that Jesus had a threefold ministry, which was teaching, preaching and healing. And what did he do the most of? Healing. He actually spent the most time healing. And then also, thank you. Then also we read in Luke, chapter 8, verse 38-39, "Now the man out of whom the devils were departed besought him that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, 'Return to thine own house, and show how great things God hath done unto thee.' And he went his way and published throughout the whole city how great things Jesus had done unto him." So Jesus has a threefold ministry, but we see that when that work is done, when that teaching, preaching and healing work is done, then publishing comes into play. People can't help but talk about or to publish the things that Jesus has done for them. Oops, sorry, I went too far. Okay, so we see it's a fourfold ministry. It's a teaching ministry, a preaching ministry, a healing ministry, and it's also a publishing ministry. So what I want to ask today is, do we still have a teaching, preaching, healing and publishing work that God has asked us to do? Just like Jesus did. If he's our example in everything, do you think there might be a plan that he has for us that includes all of these parts for finishing his work? And in actual fact he does. And it's called the blueprint. And you've got a sheet in front of you which lists the different elements of the blueprint that we're going to go through. Essentially there are two main parts. The country outpost centre, which as its name suggests is located in the country, and the city mission, which is located in the city. So let's first have a look at the country outpost centre. So this consists of training. You'll see there's a Bible school, there's health training, there's industrial training. It also consists of things like a publishing house, a food factory, a home garden, which is agriculture, we're going to look at that a bit later, and home-like sanitariums. So all of these things are located in the country outpost centre, and this is not very far out of the city. It's within easy reach of the city, but still far enough out for those that live there and those that come there to enjoy the healing, spiritual, mental and physical benefits from living in the country. So let's have a look at the Medical Missionary Training School. So this is your Bible school, as well as your health education. So at the Medical Missionary Training School, students, they learn the Bible. They learn about the Bible. It's the main textbook. They study the Bible for themselves. They have Bibles. They learn how to lead Bible studies with other people. They learn canvassing, which is the literature work, which is going door to door with our truth-filled books. They also learn health training, anatomy and physiology, natural treatments, nutrition, healthful cooking. They learn how to be able to not live by those principles themselves, but also to teach others how to live by them. And then there's industrial training, so working with your hands. So whether it's in the garden, whether it's manual labour, such as working in a workshop, mechanical work, woodwork, metalwork, practical skills that can make the student a self-supporting person who can then go out and benefit the community and support themselves while they do that. Then we've got the Home-like Sanitarium. This picture actually is of one of our Home-like Sanitariums in South Australia. So at the Home-like Sanitarium, this is where people can come. They're referred from the city mission to come to the country to a place where they can receive healing, not just physical healing, mental healing, spiritual healing. Guests are taught the 8 natural laws of New Start, which is nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. And so they're not only experiencing these 8 natural laws living out in the country in this health retreat, but they're taught how to then go back home and live by those same laws. It's fantastic the way the blueprint's put together, how God has put this together, because students working in the Medical Missionary Training School then have the opportunity in the health centre to practice their skills, to learn their skills. And so, yes, you do have people that are already trained, but you have the students there as well who are learning on the job. They're getting hands-on training. And as I said, people are referred from city mission activities to this environment. And obviously they don't stay there forever, but some may choose to be part of this work and to follow the blueprint that God has for them. Home garden agriculture. Who has heard this? Agriculture is the A, B and C of education. It's such an important part of the Outpost Centre, not just because it's a way that the Outpost Centre can feed itself and generate an income, but there are so many spiritual lessons that God has put into the garden for us, that when we work together, when teachers, staff and students work side by side daily in the garden, spiritual lessons are learned. As I said, the garden provides the fresh food needs for the Outpost Centre, as well as acting as a source of income, which we'll see a bit later on why that is so important. So gardening agriculture is a huge component of the Country Outpost Centre. I'll just read this quote from Education. No line of manual training is of more value than agriculture. Let the teacher call attention to what the Bible says about agriculture, that it was God's plan for man to till the earth, that the first man, the ruler of the whole world, was given a garden to cultivate, and that many of the world's greatest men, its real nobility, have been tillers of the soil. Did you know William Miller was a farmer? Abraham Lincoln was a farmer. The mind, the brain is so ennobled, so expanded when the soil is worked. There are a lot of problems that are encountered as a farmer, as a gardener, that have to be overcome. It really taxes the mental faculties, and this is part of God's plan from the beginning. Other elements of the Outpost Centre. There are workers' cottages and student residences, so the people who work there obviously need homes. Students need a place to live while they're learning, while they're being trained. Publishing work, so truth-filled books are printed and distributed via student canvases, and in the city mission, health food stores and restaurants. So there's actually a printing house located in the Country Outpost Centre for all of those books, those truth-filled books, to be spread like the leaves of autumn, as we're told in spirit of prophecy to spread those books far and wide. There's a food factory, and the food from the food factory is sold in City Mission health food stores. It also provides a source of income for the Country Outpost Centre. And obviously we know that a time is coming when we're not going to be able to buy or sell. And so this will give us opportunity to be able to help others who come to our Outpost Centre when they want to be true to God's Word. But what about the cities? Are we just all to run out to the country and live there like hermits? Well, no, that's not the counsel. We read in Selected Messages, the cities are to be worked from outposts. Said the messenger of God, shall not the cities be warned? Yes, not by God's people living in them, but by their visiting them, to warn them of what is coming upon the earth. So let's now turn our attention to the city mission. So here, as I said, we have health food stores, we have vegetarian restaurants, we have lecture halls, consulting clinics, treatment rooms, and this is where simple treatments are done. So the students that have learned these treatments at the Medical Missionary Training School can come to the City Mission. They can give basic treatments, hydrotherapy, massage, poultices, working with herbs, these simple treatments that really do work. They're God's ordained methods of healing. And then we can win the confidence of the people. They think, wow, if you know about how to heal the body, what you're saying about spiritual things, maybe that's true as well. We can win their confidence with our wisdom that we've gained from God in healing their bodies. Cooking classes, health evaluations, so health expos, health surveys, lectures. Of course, Bible studies. And haven't we been learning in our Sabbath school lesson this quarter how to combine the two? The gospel was never meant to be taught apart from the healing work. The two are to go hand in hand. Cooking instruction, home nursing treatments, getting into people's homes. We'll look at that a bit later. Christian help work. What do you think that is, Christian help work? Does anyone know someone that might need a bit of a helping hand? Christian help work is just helping someone. It could be anything. It could be looking after their children, going shopping for them, just going to hear their story. Christian help work, it encompasses a huge amount. And of course, literature evangelism, which we've spoken about already. So let's have a look at the elements of the city mission. As we said, plant-based restaurants. So this is where healthy food is served and where friendships can be built. Treatment rooms are to be attached to these restaurants where people can come and receive, as I said, these simple treatments. Lecture rooms where we can hold cooking classes, health lectures, things like the Medley Depression and Recovery and Anxiety Recovery Program, any of those types of programs, and also health food stores, because I don't know about you, but people I talk to, they're getting more interested in health, and often they don't know where to buy things that are healthy, and so we can provide those healthy options and alternatives for them. And these stores also become an avenue where we can sell our books. I'll just tell you a story. I met a lady in the eastern states in New South Wales, and she had developed MS, multiple sclerosis, and she was a Seventh-day Adventist lady, and she studied the book Ministry of Healing. And she actually, through putting the principles into action in that book, was able to overcome and reverse her multiple sclerosis. And she was so excited about that she started up a health food store. And in that health food store, she would set up, she had a big bookcase, big bookshelf, and she would buy Ministry of Healing books for $2 each, and she would sell them at the same price. And everyone that came into that store, she would tell her story to, and she would say, this is the book that changed my life. And that book was just flying off the shelves because of her testimony, plus the fact that she had that in her store. People were able to get that truth-filled book and, prayerfully apply those principles in their own lives. So this work really does work. It really is amazing. But why restaurants, you might be asking? Well, let's have a look at councils on health. I've been instructed that one of the principal reasons why hygienic restaurants and treatment rooms should be established in the centres of the large cities is that by this means the attention of leading men will be called to the third angel's message. Isn't that interesting? restaurants are going to call the attention of the community's leading men to the third angel's message. Noticing that these restaurants are conducted in a way altogether different from the way in which ordinary restaurants are conducted, men of intelligence will then begin to inquire into the reasons for the difference in business methods and will investigate the principles that lead us to serve superior food. Thus they will be led to a knowledge of the message for this time. What is it that will set our restaurants apart from any other restaurant? We're closed on Saturday. And yet, if we're doing it God's way, these restaurants will be superior to other restaurants in every way, economically, from the food that we serve, the staff that we have, who are committed, consecrated Christians. Intelligent men will see this and they will go, these people have got something, I want to learn more. So it's such a huge witnessing opportunity we have with restaurants. House to house work, let's have a look at this for a little while. Mrs. White actually says if we can get into the homes of people, we've almost won their heart. When they invite us into their home, they're not just going to invite anyone into their home, they trust us. And when we can help them with cooking, with simple treatments, with Christian help work, anything that we can do around the home, with sharing with them our books, then this really is going to touch people's hearts. We are involved with a camp called DeSozo Camp, and it's actually on in a couple of weeks down in Busselton. And one of the things that the young people do at that camp is that they go to people within the community who are needy. They might be elderly, single parents, someone that's a really struggling pensioner, and they go and clean up their backyard. Completely free of charge, completely no obligation, just because this is the work that Jesus would have done. And the people are just blown away by it. They're absolutely blown away that in this day and age there are young people from the ages of about 12 to 17 that will come and will give up their time and help them with their backyard. And it touches hearts. It really does. When we do this work, when we do Jesus' work his way, it works. This is what gets me excited. I love this blueprint. Every element of the Country Outpost Centre and City Mission is self-supporting. It does not receive, nor does it require, money from the church or the government. It is completely self-supporting. It is supported by donations as well as income-generating businesses. So agriculture, publishing, the food factory, the health retreat, the health food store, the restaurants, these are all businesses. And when they're run according to God's principles, they will make an income that will support this whole plan. So people say, oh yeah, this is a bit of a pie-in-the-sky dream. Where are you going to get the money from? Well, I'm going to show you an example soon of a ministry that has followed this blueprint to the letter and the results that came from that. And I love this as well, that students are self-supporting. They pay off their fees and earn money to live on by working in the income-generating businesses of the Outpost Centre and City Mission. Who here has been to Avondale? Yeah, one person. Did you work when you were there? Yeah. Avondale was set up with the work, we call it the work-study method. So this is it. If you want to read a fantastic book, read the book Education. In there, Spirit of Prophecy tells us to spend part of the day working, if you're a student, and part of the day studying. They should be equal amounts of time. And so Avondale was set up to do exactly that. We have the Sanitarium Food Factory, not sure if it's still there, but lots of other businesses that the students could work in, and that would help them pay off their fees. It's also the best way to study. If we just overtax our mind over and over again with book learning, our mind will become dwarfed. But if we spend equal amounts of time doing practical manual labour, then our mind is a lot able to take on those academic subjects that we're learning. Also income from various chores that need to be done for the smooth running of the Outdoor Centre and City Mission. So it's not just working in the businesses, but everything needs cleaning, cooking, household duties, outdoor chores. So just working around the Outpost Centre, working in the City Mission, income can be derived by the students from doing those jobs. So, is there someone that has done this? Has someone actually put the blueprint into practice? Well, happy to say yes, we do have an example that we can look at. And that is called the Madison School. Has anyone heard of the Madison School? Okay, you're in for a big treat. So, I've got a book that I'm happy to loan out to anyone, Madison, God's Beautiful Farm. And it's the Edward Sutherland story, but really it's God's story. He was just the man that God used. So let's have a look at the Madison School. So it was situated outside of Nashville in Tennessee, initially on 400 acres. It was Edward Sutherland and Percy McGann, who were the two that started this school. Excuse me, I'm just going to grab some water. And it started in 1904 with 14 students, so quite small, very small, humble beginnings. It was self-supporting, so the land, this 400 acres, to purchase that land, a donation was given, and the school immediately set out to start supporting itself with the sale of farm produce and later on with income from its other businesses. So it worked on that model of being self-supporting. It did not take any money from the church. It didn't take any money from government. It didn't have any strings attached to anyone financially. It was a self-supporting ministry of the church, but not controlled and run by the church. And Mrs. White made that very clear, that she did not want this school to be under church denominational control. It was the only board on which Ellen White actually sat, the Madison School Board, because she believed so much in what the men were doing, because they read her counsels on education and they were determined to put them into practice. It followed the work-study plan given by inspiration, as we've talked about. Students and teachers worked together on the farm. Half the day they devoted to study, and other half to labour. And so those relationships between teachers and students, there was none of this them and us. They worked together, it really was a family. No tuition was charged. So we're talking about the South of America in 1904. So Mrs. White had called for people to go and work with the people in the South who had been ravaged by the Civil War and could not afford education. So they were not charged any tuition. They worked their way through school. They still had to pay, but it was their labour that paid for their tuition. So let's now, this is the beginning, let's now fast forward 30 years. So in 1934, just wonder if you might be able to move the slide for me, please. Thank you. So, let's have a look. The Madison School, 30 years on, it expanded from 400 to 700 acres. Now, they measure their agriculture production in tonnes. The thing that needs to be said about this property that Sutherland and McGann did not want to buy this property. They were against it right from the start because it was basically littered with rocks, the soil. Pigs had been all over it and just decimated the soil. It was too much land. They didn't want 400 acres. It was too expensive. And they actually cried when Mrs. White told them that this was the property that God had for them. They cried because they couldn't see any future in this property. But through hard work, through prayer, through studying the principles of agriculture, they were producing annually 27 tonnes of peaches, 9 tonnes of string beans, 18 tonnes of grapes. from this soil that had presumably seemed so unproductive. They had a food factory that was supplying domestic and international markets. They had a 220-bed sanitarium. They also had 47 smaller Madison-like institutions established by graduates. So graduates would go out and they say, we think this blueprint is so amazing, we're going to go and replicate this in a different part of America. And that's what they did. They had 1,000 graduates serving as medical missionaries and teachers around the world, and they were debt-free. Not only were they debt-free, they were making such a surplus financially that they were able to support other self-supporting ministries, including the College of Medical Evangelists, which is what we now call Loma Linda University. So that just astounds me. When God's plan is followed exactly to the letter, this is the result. And this became a spectacle to the world, to angels and to men. Mrs. White said to Sutherland and McGann when they first were looking at this property, if you take this on, God will bless you and will work through you so much that he will make this a spectacle to the world, to angels and to men. And that's exactly what happened. The May 1938 issue of Reader's Digest published an article. Now we just think Reader's Digest, most of you probably don't even know what Reader's Digest is, but back then it was the most popular, widely read magazine in the world. When the Madison School was published in that, they received 5,000 applications and 20,000 letters of inquiry from around the world, including India, Africa, Turkey, China and Russia. The New York Times wrote an article which led to newspapers from all over the US featuring stories on Madison. Eleanor Roosevelt presented Madison in glowing terms in her newspaper column. These are leading people within the community. And remember we talked about that with the restaurants? Men of intelligence are going to see the wisdom of God's plan when we follow it. And so this little place in Tennessee became known all over the world, and people would come. You read the book Madison, God's Beautiful Farm. People would come from around the world to look at this place because there was nowhere that there wasn't a place in education or in the medical field that was debt-free, that was making a surplus, that had this abundant agriculture. And so God really, really used this place. It just goes to show, and to angels, angels were able to see if man is obedient to God, what he can do through them, and it's just fantastic. So, what's happening in Perth? You might ask. Well, I don't know if any of you have heard of Pastor Robert Stankovic. He's the pastor at Belmont Church. And 2015, he decided with a team of people that they were going to run a community cafe at their church, in their church hall. And so he started off and things weren't going too well. So he said, right, we're going to shut this down. We're going to spend the next 3 years fundraising. We're going to install a fully equipped commercial kitchen. We're going to have a business plan. We're going to liaise with the community, with the council, with business leaders, and we're going to do this thing right. And in 2018, we will open to the public. And so that's what happened. And so last year, almost to the day actually, they reopened the community cafe. Right from the first day, they've had 80. In summer, it gets up to 120 people come to their community pantry, their community op shop, and their community cafe in the evening. So on Tuesday is when they run the pantry and the op shop in the daytime, and then they have the community cafe in the evening. Excuse me, just got some water. I'll just share with you one story that Pastor Robert shared with me, and that is a couple came up to him recently, a man and a lady, and they said, Pastor Rob, would you be able to marry us? And we said, sure, I'm happy to marry you. And they said, yeah, we've been coming here for the last few months and we really want to clean up our act. They were drug addicts and they had children, but the children were with other foster families because they weren't able to have them, and the lady was pregnant with another child. And they said, we want to do a program that's run by the government, but we can't do it unless we're married. So we need to get married. And Pastor Rob said, sure, love to marry you. And I said, but we don't have any money. We can't pay you. And he said, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold it here at the community cafe. We're just going to be on a Tuesday night. We're going to get a dress for your partner. We're going to get you a cake. We're going to put it on completely free of charge. And everyone that comes to the community cafe, who you've made friends with over the last few months, are going to be your guests. And so that is happening on the 9th of October. Just a bit about a week or so away. And these people, as a result of the love and the care and concern shown by this group, they're now doing marriage counselling with Pastor Rob, and they've now asked for Bible studies. And so it's not really hard work to do. It's feeding people, it's providing them with a place to come that's safe, where they can meet with other people. Pastor Rob said there's a lot of loneliness out there, and it's not just those that are in the low socioeconomic bracket that come. It's not just about financial needs, it's meeting people's social needs. He said we have wealthy people come, people in the middle. Lots of different people come because they're lonely. They've got nowhere else to go, where they can meet with other people, have a meal, they do board games and things like that afterwards, and just chat. And so it's providing a real need in the community. So this is what we would call a city mission. And any church can do this. So you might be asking, what can I do? Well, I don't know how many of you here attended the Pavagoya prayer conference a few weeks ago, but we know this already, but he just reiterated that, and that's to start praying. That's to meet together to pray. And I love your invitation to the prayer meeting. Come as a church together and pray. Lord, you want us here at Morley to do that we can meet the needs of our community. It might not be a community cafe. You might not have those needs. But if you start doing surveys around the local households, if you start talking with your local leaders, you'll soon discover what your specific community needs are, and then you can start looking at ways to address those. And get yourself trained. Undertake training in medical missionary lines, such as canvassing. You might think there's no way I'm going on the door, knocking on strangers' doors and offering them one of our books. I used to be in that boat. And when I went to DeSozo camp, I had my first experience of canvassing, and I actually loved it. I really did. I've never once, I think I've had one rude person on the door. The vast majority of people are very, very polite, even if they're saying no to you. But if you want to really grow your faith, build a close relationship to God, canvassing is just an amazing way to do that, and it's getting our books out there. If you're a student and you're looking for some work, you can be your own boss, work your own hours. Well, you're working for God actually. What better boss is there to have? Work your own hours, and He will bless you. He'll bless you financially, He'll bless you spiritually. So consider canvassing. Get trained in Bible work, how to give Bible studies, how to go door to door. Natural treatments. There are fantastic online training courses. In fact, our church has a training course, a diploma in medical missionary work, which is done online, but also the treatment side of things, learning how to do those are done face to face. And get yourself trained in nutrition, how to give cooking classes, things like that. There's a lot of good training programs out there. Also, there's a Medical Missionary Association, which has just been incorporated in Western Australia. So become involved with that. We meet every Sunday, we phone each other every Sunday morning to pray. Our dream, our goal is to have this blueprint in action, and you'll be able to find out through the association what activities are going on that you can participate in the city. And we're also praying for a country outpost centre as well. Just a couple of quotes to finish. Recently, the Lord has instructed us that we are to work with cities through outpost centres. In these cities, we are to have houses of worship as memorials for God, which are churches, are institutions for the publication of our literature, for the healing of the sick, and for the training of workers are to be established outside the cities. Especially is this important for our youth, that they be shielded from the temptations of city life. Excuse me. It's the work that Enoch did. More and more as wickedness increases in the great cities, we shall have to work them from the outpost centres. This is the way Enoch laboured in the days before the flood, when wickedness was rife in every populous community and when violence was in the land. I've got some books here. The Medical Missionary Manual, if anyone would like a copy, come and see me after. And I've got a couple of copies of Madison, God's Beautiful Farm, if anyone would like that as well. And so we're back to where we started from. Our text was John 4:34, but this is the next text on from that. Do not say there are still 4 months and then comes the harvest. Behold, I say to you, lift up your eyes and look at the fields, for they are already white for harvest.
Try me, Lord. If you think there's a way I could ever repay all I've taken from you, maybe, Lord, I could show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. Oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus. I know what I am. Now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus. My soul